So, good afternoon, Helen, and welcome. It's fabulous to invite you onto the RIMU Reflections this afternoon. So, how's your week started so far?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, a good week. I've got obviously been working today on Canva templates actually, which is quite fun. And then I've got some calls tomorrow. Some leaflets have come in, so I've got a busy week ahead.
Excellent. So, for any of our listeners hearing our conversation this afternoon, would you like to explain what it is that you do?
Yes, I'm a graphic designer. I run HKgraphics from Ascot in Berkshire, and I design leaflets, brochures, social media graphics, Canva templates, logos, literally anything that promotes your business, makes it look great online and in print.
Excellent. Excellent. And direct mail pieces as well. I remember receiving one of those
Direct
from
mail.
you. So, yeah,
Yes,
so
that's
very
true.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Okay, so how long have you worked as a designer?
Oh, that's going to make me sound really old. I think we're top 30 years now.
30? Oh
Quite a
my
long
goodness,
time.
that's not possible. You're not that old.
I'm
Did you start at the
21.
age of two?
I did. Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. And what kind of things have you done over the course of your career? Where did you start out? Perhaps tell me a bit about your background.
Yes, I started out in retail as a graphic designer in the marketing department for a company called Techno, they're not around anymore, but they were a bit like Dixon's, that kind of
Hmm.
shop. So I did retail. I then moved to a pharmaceutical agency. So I was doing pharma work. I've done small agencies, quite mixed, a bit of publishing,
Yeah.
and always dipping back and forth into freelance because that's what graphic designers do. We do a job for 18 months and then we think we're going to go solo and then we go back to doing another job.
So you get
Um,
itchy feet. You like to hop around a lot.
yeah, certainly the first sort of 10, 15 years of most designers' careers are a bit like that, a bit chop and changey. Yeah, and I've done civil service as well, but again, as a graphic designer, which was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And life insurance was my last permanent position, as in, employee. I know,
Perhaps
yeah, that was,
not the most exciting of industries.
yeah, move on.
Excellent. But you do a lot now for small business owners, so
Yeah.
helping people to create identities, to create leaflets, and as you say, social media and Canva templates, which is really useful. I mean, I know from the work I do that having that visual consistency is so important, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, yes. Yeah, I love working with small businesses. They do find it hard to get to grips with consistency. So
Yeah,
it's a good one for me. So it's a good match.
excellent. Yeah, that's good. So what's the most favourite thing about your role? What do you enjoy the most?
Oh, I think for me, it's variety. So every day is different, which is good. And meeting people, meeting the clients, meeting
Hmm.
marketers. I like obviously meeting marketers, people in the same industry. And yeah, I've just met so many people, and people always say it's a bit lonely working for yourself, but I haven't found that at all. I do
Yeah.
quite a lot of networking, as you know. So
Excellent. Yeah, I think with the change over COVID, I think moving to online, definitely it kind of kept us all sane, didn't it? Rather than kind
mm,
of sat at home by ourselves. But
yeah,
I know myself, I definitely am seeking that in-person connection to see people in reality rather than just on a screen. But I think both has its place moving forward for sure.
yeah. Well, this is like online is just great for time saving, isn't it? When you just need a quick check in with someone or a one-to-one with someone who's just a bit too far away, and you don't need a whole day taken up. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
handy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. So, and then by reverse, what's your least favorite thing about your role? What do you dislike?
Oh, I had to write this down. I think it is it's the constant self-marketing,
Okay.
which on one hand I do enjoy, but
Yeah.
then I have these real dips where I find it quite draining, having to,
Yeah.
constantly talk about what you do and promote yourself, make sure you're visible on social media. I find social media is probably the one thing for myself. I love doing it for other
Yeah.
people, but
It's
not
funny,
for
isn't it?
myself.
it's much easier to talk about somebody else's business. I find that too. It's you can
Yeah.
obviously, it's easier to see the good things that they do and all the positives, whereas sometimes we can be quite self-critical sometimes, can't we? So
Mm.
yes, I completely can relate to that. So how would you describe yourself in 5 words?
Oh, so I definitely wrote this down. You sent me the questions. So creative, obviously, has got to be one.
Yeah.
Diligent. I'm really diligent to my detriment at times.
Hmm.
Reliable. Can rely
Yeah.
on me. Do what I say I do, and I'll do it on time.
Yeah.
Approachable
Yeah.
and practical. I'm very practical with budgets, with what I'm doing, with the application. So, if it's a leaflet, who's it going to? I like to know the sort of journey that leaflet's going to take. So, very practical person.
Excellent. Yeah, and I would agree with all of those. I know you and I've worked on some projects together, so I would
Yeah,
absolutely agree with all of those. And I think in a designer, that sort of approach, that practical approach, especially as a small business, is really helpful, especially if maybe you haven't had much involvement in design or branding before.
mm,
Just to be able to really simplify things and clearly explain things, I think is so important, and you do that beautifully. So
yeah. Oh, thank
yeah.
you. Yeah, I think it's years of being embedded in marketing departments means, although I'm definitely not a marketeer, I do have quite good insights into that side of our industry. So that's
Yeah,
definitely helpful.
yeah. I think definitely having marketing is so broad. I remember going to the Houses of Parliament a
Mm,
couple of years back pre-COVID, and there was a massive debate about what the future of marketeers looked like. It was through the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and they sat there and basically said, well, we need marketeers to be really creative and come up with all these amazing concepts and ideas, and then we need them to be
mm,
planners and really organised and implement things. Oh, and then we need them to analyse data and do all of these analytical things. And you just sit there and think, my goodness, what you've just described is about 10 different people.
yeah,
To find
yeah.
one person that can have all of those skills, from data analytics through to creative blue sky thinking and concepts, is just so far,
Yeah.
so far apart in skill sets. It's
Yeah, they're
interesting.
talking about an entire marketing agency, aren't they? And all
Yes,
of its staff. So
yeah, definitely. But
yeah.
certainly, as you say, having an understanding of the challenges different people have and how that all comes together is really important.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
really good. So, tell me one thing that we might not know about you. Obviously, we know you're creative, you're into design, but what don't we know?
Oh, well, so when I was younger, I was a majorette and we did cheerleading for It's a Knockout. Do you remember It's a Knockout?
I do. Yes,
When
I'm showing
it's so
my age.
exciting. Yeah, yeah. I know. It came to Leatherhead, near where I grew up, and I went to school there as well. And so yeah, so I got to be on the telly doing my
Excellent.
baton twirling and cheering and
Excellent. I love that. That's brilliant. And then starting to come on to, I mean, you've obviously set up and established a very successful business, Helen. I know you've been in business for a number of years now, but if if there's one thing that you could tell your younger self, what might it be?
oh, I think probably the same one as a lot of people is just have more confidence in your own abilities and
Hmm.
try and there's nothing wrong with having a bit of doubt, but I think just don't have too much doubt. Have confidence
Yeah.
and get out there.
Yeah. I think sometimes just to take a leap of faith or just to say yes and
Yeah.
then work out how to do it afterwards is really good
Yeah,
advice.
I think normally we're all better than we sort of feel we are, don't we? We all
Yeah.
put ourselves down a bit and think we're not quite up to scratch. And actually we all think that's the wrong way to look at things.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice. And how about if there was somebody just starting out in the creative industry and looking to become a designer for somebody, is there one piece of advice that you might give them or one tip you would share?
Yeah, I would just go to college or university and study graphics or the whatever arts it is you want to go into because it's so much fun and you get to experiment. Your first year is just experimental, all sorts of medium. So when I was there, I did drawing and illustration. I'm not very good at it though, but I'm very good at being graphic designer.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun at college. So I would
Mm.
always recommend you can get into this job through work, through apprenticeships and things, but there's just something about college that's just fun.
Yeah,
That would be
no,
my
I
tip.
went to university, so I would most definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I think we've all kind of really struggled over the last couple of years with COVID, and I think we're just starting to see the impact of that. And obviously the way, the world works is changing hugely. But are there maybe 2 or 3 challenges that you see on the horizon in particular for your business in 2023? Are there a couple of things that, gosh, I need to be mindful that they're sort of fast approaching?
I think the main one's just all around budgets. It's really challenging to get people to part with their money, isn't it? When things like marketing and graphics go to the bottom of the list when budgets are tight. And obviously it's so important to promote your business. And if you're not promoting your business, you don't have a business. So I think that's still a challenge. It's ongoing.
Yeah, and I
For
think
both
you're
of
right.
us, that one.
That kind of when the tough, when things are tough, actually to keep promoting your business rather than cutting it, that's where your point of difference comes out, doesn't it? So, whilst maybe some of the competitors are cutting back, if you're not, you're still going to be really visible in the consumer's eyes. So yeah, I think that's a challenge.
Yeah, I think that happened through COVID as well. Anybody who just went to ground, they weren't ready when everybody else came back online to start promoting their businesses and things. So
yeah,
and then sort of tied up with that, I would say things like Canva. Canva's great, but it's a dangerous tool. And I do come across so many people that now just say, oh, I do my leaflets in Canva, or I do this. You can print from Canva, you can do all this from Canva. And I think that's another big challenge, is educating people that just because you can do it in Canva or whatever doesn't mean you should. So it's just still pays people to get professional jobs done.
Yeah, I do agree. I think there's definitely, you can tell immediately if something's been designed by a professional in that sector. It's like legal contracts. You can download contracts off the internet, but actually if you want it to be legally watertight, you need to seek professional, somebody who's trained in that area to make sure that it covers everything you need. And it's the same with design, that you can, I think it's often very obvious if you have a piece of artwork which has been designed by somebody that understands design and the customer thought buying process as well, because ultimately a lot of the communications we develop is to help convert customers. So yes, I can see that that's a challenge as well. So, well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us this afternoon, Helen. If somebody wants to check out more about your business, what's the best place? How can they find you?
On my website, which is HKgraphics.co.uk. That's probably the best way. LinkedIn as well. I'm always happy to connect with people on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. That's brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us this afternoon. It's been wonderful to talk to you.
Likewise.
To you soon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.